Stay frosty and head over to easymutt.com for the cheapest mutt coins on the market. And when I say cheapest, I mean it. We're talking 1 million coins for around 40 bucks. Use code DIRECTOR for 5% off. Action! Yo, what up, brothers? What's up? It's the Director. Chargers fans. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. We've got ourselves a tight end. Jared Cook, welcome to the Bolts. Heading to Los Angeles. A stopgap replacement for our Hunter Henry. I got a guy on here. Snickers Flavor says, why? No, $2 holla. Guys, don't panic, all right? We're going to go over why this is a very intelligent signing. It's not the signing that Chargers fans wanted to see, okay? The last thing that I saw as far as Chargers tight end replacements was Zach Ertz just before this Jared Cook news, and as far as I could tell, the Eagles wanted way too much for Zach Ertz, and the Chargers said, you know what? We're hanging up the phone. We're going to go find a different option in Jared Cook. And a lot of you guys will probably remember Jared Cook as the guy who fumbled away their playoff hopes last season. I get it, man. He's not the perfect tight end. He's not going to be Hunter Henry out there, but honestly, how much worse is he than Hunter Henry? And the biggest thing we got to remember when it comes to Jared Cook is the financial value that we're getting back from him at the tight end position. I don't know, man. First off, let's get some shout outs in the chat here, man. We got Scotty Mack, we got Johnny Tran, we got Jason A, Zach Jackson, Joe Harper, Adam Valentino, we got Anthony Pano, Peter Massey. Good to see everybody in here today. Now, nobody panic. I'm seeing, let's get the general consensus of the Chargers fans before we get into this one. Chargers fans, type 1 in the chat if you're cool with this signing, if you're about it. You're like, okay, we understand the logistics of what's going on. And then type 2 if it just was a bad move. If the Chargers squandered an opportunity to get Zach Ertz, maybe a better tight end. Let's see where everybody's at right now. Seeing a lot of ones, a lot of 2s, a 1.5. I get where you're coming from in there. 2 for David and Njoku because you wanted David and Njoku. I get that too. Nightwave. Yeah, a lot of people in here, man. A lot of people. Steve Simmons, what's up? Get back to work, bro. Get back to work. What you doing? Your boss is coming. Okay, so I would say it's probably 70 to 80% good, probably 20, 25% bad. You never know, okay? Let's go over a couple of things of what the Chargers are probably thinking in this instance. Now, the first thing I thought when I saw this signing, so Jared Cook, tight end, agrees to a 1-year, $6 million deal with the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, in a different tweet, I believe that his guaranteed was $4.5 million. Before we go any further, I need to go show you guys a number here. Now, he hasn't been put on our books yet. SpotRack right now has the Chargers at around $33.1 million, 33.2 almost, right? This is going to put the Chargers somewhere around $28 million, and that doesn't take into account the like $10 million we're going to need to sign our rookies and practice squad guys. So you can say closer to around $18 million. Right off the top of my head, the Chargers got themselves a serviceable weapon, and they still have money to go get positions of need that are probably bigger than tight end. Let's read this $5 haul, then I'll get to the point of my my spiel here, okay? Nate Burke says, Director, much love, man. This one's been a long time coming. Do you think we signed anyone else in free agency? Yes. I mean, okay, great segue, $5 haul, man. I really appreciate it. We're feeling the same vibe here, man. We're on the same wavelength, the same spectrum, right? It's just like our brains have interlinked, and we understand where this conversation is going. By only spending $4.5 million this season, great budget tight end signing, by the way. I can't underrate that enough. The Chargers were very intelligent. This is definitely a Tom Telesco move. The Chargers still have, after, let's say, the rookie signings, practice squad, everybody, around $18 million per spot rack, okay? And the Chargers, in my opinion, have bigger needs than tight end. The Chargers have some needs maybe at cornerback. Did you guys ever think that maybe getting Jared Cook, who's serviceable, and he's only a 1-year guy, you know what I mean? They maybe open themselves an opportunity to go grab an Adoree Jackson. Maybe open up an opportunity to go get, you know, Richard Sherman if we're really looking that way, Anthony Harris, Edge rushers, Jadeveon Clowney, maybe. You know what I mean? Like, this opens up doors financially for the Chargers to continue to pursue players for this season. And Jared Cook is not all that bad. Of course, Jared Cook does have connections in the league or in the Chargers organization with Frank Smith, who is now our running game coordinator, I believe. Yep. He was the Oakland Raiders tight ends coach for a long time, for a couple of years, I should say. Obviously, he has experience with Jared Cook. And then, of course, our offensive coordinator, Joe Lombardi, coached him last season in the quarterback's coach room. We've got connections. This coaching staff knows what they're getting from Jared Cook. And as far as scheme fit and stuff like that, we don't know what the scheme is going to be yet, man. I understand he's not the greatest run blocker in the world, but he is a vertical threat. Actually, let me go over here real quick. Let me show you guys a tweet that I put out just a moment ago. Hopefully, we don't get flagged or nothing. I'll show you guys a few seconds of this after this $5 or $4 holla. Yo, what up, brother? Love your Family Guy thing on Twitter. Thanks, man. Yeah, it was a meme of us all waiting for something to happen, and then it happened today. Maybe not every Chargers fan is on board for this, but I'm going to tell you guys not to panic. Let me show you guys a couple of these highlights here on Twitter, okay? I'm only going to show a few seconds of this. Here's him versus us in Los Angeles. Look at this deep threat right here. Busted coverage, obviously. I think they put Kenneth Murray on him. Very difficult task to give a rookie. But he's out here, secure hands. Look at that juggled catch into the end zone. Great red zone threat is what I'm going to add on top of that. We're going to get into more of this in a minute. Okay, Jared Cook, not bad. If you guys want to see the full compilation video, check out my Twitter. I've put in a couple of different things. Let me read this one here from you guys too. Okay. This is what I tweeted almost minutes after we got the signing. The signing was confirmed. Honestly, y'all, not bad. Last season, 500 yards, 7 touchdowns. Chargers needed help in the red zone, and they got it at a great value. I see this as moving money from the tight end position into the offensive line, a serviceable weapon, while we develop pair him or draft/sign a replacement. I'm in. I'm sorry, guys. Like, I know a lot of people are not going to agree with this, but, like, I think this was a good move. It's not the flashiest move in the world. We could have gone after a bigger name tight end. Who else is out there? I mean, honestly, between Jared Cook and, let's say, a trade for Njoku or something like that, I highly would have preferred that. I'm not going to lie to you guys and say, oh, Jared Cook was my number one tight end. I wanted him most. No, that's not the case. I definitely would have liked an Njoku. Zach Ertz probably would have been more of an immediate impact, although he would have been. We would have had to give up draft capital for him. But this Jared Cook signing is one of those signings that kind of like comes out of nowhere. And when you really take a step back and look at it, you have to admire, like, I guess the strategy behind it financially. Tight end isn't my biggest concern, nor should it be for the Chargers, especially with Jared Cook now. My biggest concern comes in some huge holes on defense. And we could still improve our offensive line from the interior especially, and go get a guy in the draft as far as, like, left tackle. I think there's bigger needs. And Jared Cook, for such a cheap value, solves immediately what the Chargers need to accomplish in a serviceable tight end that also allows us to feature our other weapons. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams' stock just went up, even as a red zone threat. Mike Williams should see a lot more work, and that's what we're hoping to get out of him after paying him $15.5 million. We need to get more production out of Mike Williams. And those targets that Hunter Henry was soaking up, you know, we're going to see a lot of them go to Jared Cook still, but I think Mike Williams is going to get more involved in this offense. We don't know what the scheme is yet, guys. We don't know what this offense is going to look like. So maybe Jared Cook is just the right fit. We're going to get one from the kid. Says Pitts at 13, Schwartz in the 4th, equal a top 5 offense. Yes. I also need to reiterate this, guys. We're not out of the running with a lot of these other tight ends, okay? Because we got Jared Cook doesn't mean that we're not going after Zach Ertz still, which if they're asking for too much, I hope that we still do pass. It doesn't take us out of the running for Kyle Pitts. If he's there at 13, you take him. Because, again, this is a 1-year deal, man. This is 1 year of Jared Cook. After this, we don't know what's going to happen. So 1 year stopgap, if we can get Kyle Pitts, this might be a good move in kind of anticipating what might happen in the draft. If there's a lot of quarterbacks being taken in the top 12, Kyle Pitts might be there at 13. And then, boom, the Chargers have their tight end future, like, all the way set in. The best tight end that we've seen in the draft in a long time. And the Chargers don't have a commitment to a number 1 tight end right now because of the 1 year deal with Jared Cook. Let me see some of these comments here, guys. Trubisky to the Bills, hilarious. Troy Hill or Adore, yeah, we could afford those guys still. Because this deal was so cheap with Jared Cook. And of course, the Zach Ertz deal would have been cheap too, but it would have cost us some draft capital. I think the Eagles were looking for a third. No way. No way do we do that. He really isn't a versatile weapon. No, but he's a serviceable weapon. Actually, that's a great segue into some of these things I want to show you guys. Jared Cook's stats, okay? Now, a lot of people don't like stat hunting, but really, honestly, it really is relevant right now. New Orleans last season, 2020. Jared Cook, 500 yards, 7 touchdowns. The year before, 700 yards, 9 touchdowns. Almost 900 yards, 6 touchdowns. Now, yes, there's some regression here, but there's also some positive regression as far as touchdowns. The yards haven't quite been where they've been since 2017 or 2018, but his touchdowns sure went up. Look at his touchdowns before that. What they've turned in New Orleans, what they turned Jared Cook into is an excellent red zone target. And you guys remember how we've been talking about maybe Todd Gurley coming to the Chargers, why the only reason I would even consider him coming to the Bolts? It's because he's good in the red zone. And the reason the Chargers are going after guys that are good in the red zone is because we sucked from scoring from the red zone, man. A lot of that I think had to do with Anthony Lynn and his run up the middle mentality, his run heavy scheme with like a scat back. That was never going to work. I think the Chargers, Brandon Staley, he's going to take a look at what we have on the roster. Mike Williams, 6'4" target. Now Jared Cook, how tall is he? Is there a 6'5" target? A guy that has proven the last 3 years to put up numbers in the red zone. I don't think it's a bad signing, man. Then real quick, before I get to the Super Chats, I need to show you guys something else. Hunter Henry. Hunter Henry the last 3 seasons. 4, 5, and 4 touchdowns. Actually not as good as Jared Cook's 6, 9, and 7 touchdowns. This is part of the reason we've been struggling in the... And a lot of it I do think comes down to scheme a little bit. But then 579, 652, and 613 versus 896, 705, and 504. Yes, he's older. Right? But for what the Patriots paid Hunter Henry, I think this may have been a move all along that Tom Telesco was considering. The production just wasn't matching the dollar value. There was a lot of injury concerns with Hunter Henry. Look at Jared Cook the last 3 seasons, 15, 14, and 16 games. Only missed a couple. So when you really take a step back and look at the productivity that Hunter Henry was bringing us versus the productivity that a Jared Cook could bring us for 1 season, it all kind of starts to make sense. It really does. It really does. The one thing that Hunter Henry will always have on Jared Cook after the youth part of it is blocking. He's definitely a better blocking tight end. And the Chargers still need to find an answer at that. The great part about that is, though, versatile weapons that are great at blocking, there's only a few of those in the league, and those are going to cost a premium like we saw with Hunter Henry. A tight end that's pretty decent at blocking but not a great vertical threat, those aren't actually too expensive. And for the Chargers to bring in a guy, maybe even an undrafted guy could fill that role. It wouldn't be expensive for the Chargers. So we'd have a tight end, a versatile weapon, 2 of them in Parham and Cook, and then we could bring in a cheaper guy as far as blocking tight end sets. I like it. We got a couple of super chats in here, guys. Let's get to it real quick. Drew Fresh says, do you think we can snag Slater, then Asante in the second, and then grab Anthony Schwartz? Helps our DBs and gives Herbert a speedster bolt up. I love it, man. Dude, what you just laid out is like my last 20 mock drafts for the Chargers. That is absolutely possible. Bolt fam, get hold on to your butts. I'm going to show you guys something awesome. Anthony Schwartz. Unofficial 40 time at his pro day. I would say his official time at his pro day, but don't go crazy with the pro day 40s, just because the environment's a little bit different, the timing's a little bit different. But this is kind of what I expected from Anthony Schwartz. A sub 4.3, something within the 4.2s. 4.26, absolutely incredible. This is a guy I've been hounding about for the last couple months. I love Anthony Schwartz. We missed out on John Ross, but I see a pretty much similar upside from Anthony Schwartz. More on John Ross's part a little bit, but I kind of saw them as both being the same sort of weapon, right? They're going to be your go-route guy, the guy that stretches the field a little bit. And Anthony Schwartz, although maybe he needs a little bit of work in a lot of areas in route running, we don't need to ask him to be the route runner. We need to ask him to be the field stretcher, and I like that a lot. We'll get to more Jared Cook action here in just a minute, guys. Thank you for the $5 Hollow Drew Fresh. Leo Ramos says, Chargers play action is going to be deadly with some extra help at wide receiver. Air Staley might be the special. Yes, sir. I like it, man. Air Staley. I dig it. I really do. Thanks for the support there, $5 Hollow. Let's see what more of these comments are saying here, man. Chris says, why are so many people hating this move? It's a cheap deal, which will ultimately help develop Parham, too. Yeah, that's a great point. A lot of people are really high on Parham, and I think the potential is there, right? Juju the Jets, nice. I think the potential is there. I really do. But I think Parham's going to need some help as far as development. Jared Cook has been in the couple of systems of a couple of our guys in our coaching staff, Frank Smith and Joe Lombardi. And if we really wanted to develop Parham, who, again, I don't know if he's going to be a Waller, but I do think that he's got the team around him to help build him that way. I think a guy like Jared Cook is a great move to help develop him, give him some time. And again, guys, the biggest thing I need to reiterate here, it's a cheap one-year option. Cheap one-year option that gives us, honestly, similar productivity to what Hunter Henry gave us last season, but on a cheaper dollar. Which, again, before I read this, I need to state something that in this tweet I didn't highlight that I really should have. This is probably the biggest point. Again, immediately when I saw this, I was like, I see what the Chargers are doing, and I like it. Okay? I see this as moving money away from the tight end position and putting it into the O-line. Remember when we cut Trey Turner? What was the one thing that I told you guys? I like the fact that we're moving money away from guard, which isn't as important of a position on the offensive line. It is important, but what's more important is your center and then ultimately your tackles. We took money away from that position in cutting Trey Turner, and we put it into the position of center in signing Corey Linsley. I like those kinds of moves. And in this instance, it feels like the Chargers, in not paying Hunter Henry, are moving more money into bigger positions of need. Offensive line is a big one. Would we be able to afford Corey Linsley if we signed Hunter Henry? Probably still, yeah. But we might miss out on someone that we haven't signed yet, like an Adoree Jackson. You know what I mean? Other positions that really do need help. Jared Cook is a great stopgap and allows us to be flexible with our cap space before the 2021 season. We got a 549 holla from Kev G. Thank you so much, bro. We got one from Blue Deftones as director. We just signed Jared Cool to a one-year deal. Yes, sir, Jared Cook. Welcome to the stream, man. Very, very, very excited. So what's some of this information laid out in front of you guys? What's the thought now? What are people thinking? What are the emotions? Trubisky to the Bills. Hilarious. I love Jalen Guyton. He can be a perfect number 3. Yeah, Jalen Guyton and Tyron Johnson, both decent options at the wide receiver 3 position as they continue to develop. Liam Fungan, Faunan, $1 holla, thank you. David Rainey says Hunter Henry's blocking grade last year was about the same as Cook's. Let's take a look. Jared Cook last season, 55.8 as a run blocker. Not the best. Not the best. How much better was Hunter Henry? Let's actually take a look here real quick. Let's take a look here. I hate PFF with a passion as far as their, like, website surfing or whatever. It's really hard to find stuff. Tight end. Okay. Tight end. Where was Hunter Henry? Hunter Henry was down here. Let's see. He's going to be a Patriot now. So Jared Cook last season actually rated above Hunter Henry. Interesting. Just seeing this for the first time. Hunter Henry, tight end, run grade block of 68.8. Definitely better than Jared Cook. I'm not going to lie. Jared Cook, we might have some issues out there. Not the worst in the world, but definitely not the best in the world when it comes to run blocking. But at the same time, look at the difference here in the offensive grades. 69.3 versus 69.3. Exactly the same. 67.3 in receiving versus 70.3 in receiving. The one thing that Hunter Henry had on him was the run blocking, which again is very important. But how much more important? How much more did Hunter Henry get paid? It's all kind of starting to make sense here. Okay, couple of hollas in here, man. Anthony Tran with the $5 holla. Thank you so much. We got one from Omar Moreno. It says, Director, I believe the Chargers have to be dominant in the trenches, either on offense or defense. Playoffs is all about the big men. Thoughts? Exactly what my point is here, man. By signing Jared Cook, who knows? Maybe we get an Austin Blythe now. That's kind of one of my big targets as far as filling that right guard position. I hope the Chargers sign him. Because in the draft, what do you have to still fill out? Left tackle. And I think that's it. Get some depth at like maybe right tackle a little bit. Although I think Matt Filer is definitely a good contingency plan in case our right tackle goes down. Take the money that was going to be spent on Hunter Henry and put it into the offensive line. And then grab a stopgap tight end like Jared Cook to fill in. Meanwhile, maybe we get Kyle Pitts. Maybe we don't. Maybe we find a better tight end next season. Njoku, maybe OJ Howard. I think it's just Njoku is going to be a free agent. There's a lot of free agent tight ends, a better tight end market next season as far as free agency. So this 1-year deal on the cheap, I get it. I understand it. I dig it. I'm about it. Couple more. Let's do it. Arca Jess says, did you manage to take a look at Mike's? Not yet, man. Strachan, right? If the Chargers don't get him, I'll be upset. Considering where he will go in the draft. He's still on my list, man. I'm doing some stuff this weekend as far as the draft prospects, but I'll keep that in mind, man. Thank you. I'll highlight that. Blue Deftone says, I'm glad we signed Cook. Hope he fills in for Hunter's shoes. Yeah, again, it's going to be a little spotty. It's not going to be as good as what we had with Hunter Henry, especially in the blocking category. But I think the Chargers, they really, the offensive scheme's going to change this season, guys. Just by having a good offensive line, it opens up a lot of possibilities for the Chargers and their playbook going forward. Their offensive scheme might change a little bit. Maybe more of a vertical attack from Jared Cook. Honestly, a vertical attack with Jared Cook. You play to his strengths, his receiving game 18th in the league with a 70.3. Maybe things are about to change. Gear towards what Jared Cook is good at. And it kind of honestly reminds me, Jared Cook, in like the furthest sense, but at the same time, their similarities are there. Jared Cook and Kyle Pitts, I could almost see them in a similar scheme, right? They're both not the greatest run blockers in the world, but they're pretty exceptional in their receiving. Their speed is pretty good too. So maybe that's kind of what the fitting is here, man. Things are changing. The Chargers offense is going to be different, and that's good. The Chargers needed a fresh look on offense. Isaac Romero says, what about Dan Feeney? Dan Feeney definitely is a consideration to be re-signed. I think 99% of the Chargers offensive linemen last season would be good depth this season. I wouldn't throw them out there as starters. And right now the Chargers have 3 solid starters. Dan Feeney could be pretty good. But I do think the Chargers should consider an Austin Blythe to fill in the right guard position. A great player when playing that position. Again, he was center for the Rams, and he kind of was okay. When he played guard, he was pretty good. He was pretty dang good. I think the Chargers could get him on the cheap. If we get Jared Cook and Austin Blythe versus Zach Ertz and like somebody really low tier as far as guard, I'd rather take the Jared Cook and Austin Blythe, to be honest. Keep building that offensive line. Build that defensive line, the edge, offensive line, or outside linebackers. I like this move, man. I'm trying to hold it back a little bit because I know a lot of Chargers fans are not on board with it, which is fine. You know, this isn't because I like it doesn't mean it's guaranteed to work out. But I do like it. Underrated. Like, honestly, I'm about it. I really am. I like Jared Cook. I like what he brings to the team this season. And it's okay to disagree with me because, again, I'm just a fan. I'm not an analyst. I'm not a prophet. But, you know, my opinion, at first I was shocked a little bit. And then instantly in my mind, it all made sense. The financial situation, the scheme, the 1-year cheap deal, other positions in need that we need to fill out. We have a lot of money to work with still. It all just kind of fit for me like a puzzle piece. And so I'm hoping that Chargers fans maybe, you know, come around to it. If they don't, it's fine. He's not Hunter Henry. It was a big blow to this Chargers team in losing Hunter Henry. And in bringing Jared Cook in, a lot of people see him as the replacement. He's not the replacement. He's the stopgap, right? It's okay. It's okay to have feelings about it. But for me, personally, on record, I'm about it. I like it. I can dig it. Oh, boy, man. We got some big super chats coming in. Let's catch up real quick, man. Anthony Tran says, Cook went to the Pro Bowl in 2018 and 19. 2020, Cook had Tyson Hill throwing him to him. Yes, he did. 2021, he'll have Herbert. Stat-wise, Cook is better than Henry. Stat-wise, 100%. Anthony, thank you. Yes, absolutely. Oh, God. I hope people are okay with this, man. I hope people come around to it. Thank you. Will Banks, who are your top 5 free agents? Targets. What else do we need to do? Looking forward to hearing your take, director. Okay, so top free agents. Let me show you guys a quick tweet here. I think I put some of my favorite ones towards the top. I want to get to more of these super chats here, guys. Okay, some of my favorite ones here at the top. Anthony Harris, Desmond King, Eric Fisher, If you guys want to check out this full list, there's actually quite a few players on here. Troy Hill is definitely up there for me. Malik Hooker, Dory Jackson, Alejandro Villanueva, Riley Reif, even Justin Houston. I've been giving a lot of thought to lately. I think he'd be a great fit for the Chargers 3-4. Really. So that's kind of what I'm looking at here. Maybe we'll go over more of this list here in a minute as we get through these super chats. Thank you, Will Banks. I appreciate it. Thank you for coming in here and hearing the hot takes. I want to start a TikTok series called Director's Hot Cakes. You guys get to hear me like spew out some ridiculous football hot takes while having a fat stack of pancakes. It'll be like a Dr. Seuss book with more profanity. Next up, we got a $25 holla coming in from Adrian Chavez, who says, thanks for the awesome content day in and day out, brother. Keep on the grind. You are hands down the best channel I've run across. Glad I found your channel. Now just need Blythe, Clowney, Adoree Jackson, and Hooker or King. Absolutely, man. First off, thank you so much for the support, my man. Really means a lot to me. Even just the compliment means a lot to me, man. I really appreciate it. And as far as Blythe, Clowney, Adoree Jackson, and Hooker or King, I love it, man. The more I think about Clowney, it's not me personally. I think it was Daniel Popper. And I respect Daniel Popper tremendously. So when he says something, I take it pretty seriously, right? I was watching his live stream yesterday, and he said that Clowney's not really on their radar because he's not a locker room fit, which I kind of get it. I understand that. Clowney, to me, would be a great ad analytically, you know, not great against the pass, but really good against the run, right? And maybe he would be better against the pass. Who knows? Again, Leonard Floyd was nobody last season, and after Brandon Staley got his hands on him, now he's like the hot thing, $64 million. But if Clowney's literal locker room presence would be a negativity to the Chargers, if he really doesn't fit that way, I get it. You know, that's a part analytically that doesn't make sense to me, but I understand it. And if Daniel Popper says it, it's gospel, right? It's scripture at that point. So as far as finding other replacements for that outside linebacker position, Justin Houston, did he play end last season or outside? He started outside linebacker. I don't know. I've also been thinking a lot about that guy from the Washington football team, Ryan Kerrigan. He'd be kind of good, too. Again, we're looking at one-year stopgaps on the cheap, right? Buy the Chargers some time, fill out those holes, get some decent production, and move on. Try and fill those positions next season in the draft or free agency. These one-year deals, a good way to kind of put a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. And there's some good talent out there. Even though these guys are older, including Jared Cook, good talent. Definitely good talent. And if it's low risk, I'm fine with that. Definitely fine with that. Thank you again, Adrian Chavez. I really appreciate your support. Charlie Bugarin says, what do you think our chances are trading up in the draft? I'd give it like a 10% chance, but it's a solid 10%. Again, I would love to go grab Penei Sewell. I would be so I would give up a lot for Penei Sewell. But the fact is that, again, with such a top-heavy quarterback class, it would cost even more to trade into the top 10 this year, the top 5, even the top 8, depending on how far he falls, just because there's going to be a lot of teams competing to trade up for a quarterback. And the contrast between trading up for a tackle and trading up for a quarterback are pretty broad. Like, it's way more expensive. So to compete, let's say, with Washington to get, like, let's say the number 8 pick, because they want a quarterback and we want a tackle, they'd probably be willing to pay a lot more for that quarterback. You know what? You feel me? You get what I'm saying? But thank you for the $5 holla, man. Again, I hope it happens. I'd love to see Sewell on this team. 20MX coming in from JCAM says, do you think this is more of a Tom move or Staley move? Definitely Tom. You know, it could be a combination of both. Analytically, this makes a lot of sense, but this really does feel like a Tom Telesco move. A lot of the times, we see Tom do something that maybe on the surface we're like, cool, all right, whatever. And then in season, we're like, okay, all right, I can see that. I can see why that was important. This kind of reminds me last season of getting Linval Joseph a little bit. A lot of people were like, cool, all right, that's not bad. And then me inside, I was like, oh my God, we needed so much help against the run. This is my favorite one all season. Although this isn't my favorite one by far. Definitely Corey Linsley's the biggest signing I've seen as far as a Chargers fan in a long time in free agency, maybe even since Casey Hayward. Thank you, Green Bay Packers. I certainly don't hate this deal. I really don't. Thank you for the support there, man. Cody Onk with the $5 holla. Thank you, sir. Adrian Chavez coming right back says, what are your thoughts on J.C. Horn? If we don't address the secondary in free agency, how do you feel about drafting J.C. at number 13 and Santi Samuel in the second? Double dipping back-to-back in the first 2 rounds at cornerback? Probably a low chance of that, I'm not going to lie. I think, again, there's so many positions and needs, and there's a lot of great talent in the top 2-3 rounds. I do see the Chargers grabbing a couple things. I do think in the top 2 or 3 rounds, we're going to get a left tackle. I would hope in the first or second, right? As far as J.C. Horn at 13, probably a little high for me, but I would understand it. You know what his NFL comp is? Mike Davis, right? The NFL comp doesn't mean he's going to literally be Mike Davis. It just means that he does things well that Mike Davis does well. And then there's, unlimited potential outside those margins. I like J.C. Horn a lot, man. Lengthy, physical, speedy. I think he fits exactly what the Chargers will want to do. So if we end up getting him at 13, I would get it. But I would hope that we're not passing up on guys like Slater, Darisaw, any of the other 2 quarterbacks in Farley or Surtain, because I still do like those guys better. But I wouldn't hate it at all. I think he's a great fit. I think he would fit the Chargers very, very well. Thank you again, Adrian. Coming back with a double dip. And as far as Asante Samuel, I see most likely going down in the draft this season. In the first round, the Chargers take an offensive lineman, whether it be Elijah Vera Tucker, Slater, Darisaw. I think we get one of those guys. And in the second round, we grab Asante Samuel, which to me, that's a great move right there. I love the potential of that going into the season. Jason Rosenberg says, don't know if you saw yesterday, but it's rumored Villanueva to the Chargers are working details for the contract. Thank you for the $5 hollow, man. I've seen rumors of this even prior to that tweet, but keep in mind, guys, NFL Rooms, you see at NFL Rooms on Twitter, be careful of that one. That one isn't super reliable, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Chargers are talking to Villanueva. That would shake things up tremendously in the draft for the Chargers if we got a left tackle before the year begins. What it really would do for me, honestly, Villanueva, great left guard. Let's say Slater, great left guard / left tackle. Both of them play left guard and left tackle very well. So it offers you some versatility. Get the best performing guy on the outside. If it's Slater, great. If it's Villanueva, great. And then the worst case scenario for me is that maybe we develop Slater at left guard and then move him to left tackle later. That kind of helps ease him into the NFL a little bit. So I wouldn't hate Villanueva, but I see the Chargers trending towards a rookie left tackle at this point in time. Thank you guys, everybody, for the support. Let's keep going, man. We got a lot of super chats to catch up on. Director Sir, this is coming in from Kevin G. Kev G. Director Sir, who's next for the Bolts? Love what you do, my dude. My dude. Stay frosty. San Diego. Ron Burgundy, stay classy. Stay classy, my friend. Stay frosty, stay classy, say all the things. The next move for the Chargers, in my opinion, I really want a cornerback. Adoree Jackson. The day that he was released, I didn't have a lot of research done on him, but since then I've been reading a little bit more on him. Did have an injury last season, but really pretty solid before that. And again, he's got kind of what we look for in cornerback. Speedy, not too small. I like him quite a bit. I think his potential is pretty high. It kind of depends on how much we sign him for. Spot Rack at this point has him at $12.5 million annually. In the cornerback market I'm seeing now, I can see him more of a $10 million annually signing, and then the Chargers would need to get a guarantee pretty low this season, probably like $5 or $6 million bucks. But I can see that. I can definitely see that happening. And again, Jared Cook is a great piece in that puzzle to getting more talent in other positions. Oh, guys, I like this. I'm not going to say love because I would love Njoku. I would love Njoku. I like the Jared Cook signing. Sue me. Thank you, Kev G. On Hell Z says, what do you think we're going to do with our defense? It seems like we're fixing the offense in the expense of the defense bolt up. Now, what's kind of funny is that Chargers fans at the beginning of free agency, they felt that the Chargers were going to fix the defense in free agency and then fix the offense in the NFL draft. It kind of feels like it's flipped, right? The Chargers are likely to pick up a lot of guys in the draft for defense. At this point, I feel like the Chargers might even go after an edge guy in the draft, maybe in the top 3 rounds. I would love Boogie Basham. Man, I think Boogie Basham's like my favorite target right now as far as where he's evaluated. Owe is pretty good too. There's a lot of guys. I think that are pretty good coming out of this draft. Not the best edge class that I've ever seen, but I do think they do target a lot of these positions in the draft. I'm really hoping, man, though, the edge, the pass rush thing, even if we double dip, we get one in free agency and one in the draft. I hope we get somebody in free agency. That's such a big thing that made Brandon Staley so good last year. So I'm really, really hoping that's the case. But the things that we're fixing in offense, man, mainly the offensive line, I think that's way overdue, and I think it's a good move. Jared Cook, I like it. The other 2 offensive linemen, holy cow, do I love those moves. That's like I said this a couple streams back. I was like, if that's all we do this season, I'm happy. It turns out I'm not happy. I'm very impatient. I want more. But it's great moves. It's hard to top those moves. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Drew Fresh says, do you think Lombardi had a say in for Cook? Yeah, we were saying before that Lombardi and Frank Smith, they both have relationships with him. Of course, Frank Smith with the Raiders, Lombardi with the Saints. I think both those guys said, hey, you know what? We've worked with Jared Cook in the past. He's really great. Maybe last season, like we saw from another super chat, hauling in passes from Hill was probably not the best thing for him, and maybe that's why his production went down a little bit as far as yardage. His touchdowns, though, they've been going up, dudes, which is kind of crazy. He's older, like 33, but his touchdowns, his efficiency in the red zone is really high. And that's, again, a weakness of the Chargers last season. It seems like they're trying to help it be a strength this regular season, because the offensive line is going to help us in the red zone tremendously. Probably the biggest thing that's going to help us in the red zone is that offensive line. And then a tight end target like Jared Cook, who's like notoriously good in the end zone, great hands. I don't know. I see it as trending towards taking a weakness and turning it into a strength. And that's honestly all you can ask from a GM at this point, right? Thank you, Drew Fresh. Arca Jeth coming back says, by the way, Herbert's little bro will be a draft eligible after next season. Currently 6'5", 244, red shirt freshman tight end. Is he playing for Oregon too? I saw him on Twitter the other day too. That would be pretty insane, man. A quarterback to tight end brother situation, that'd be pretty sick. I like the narrative. Thank you, Arca. Appreciate it. Let's keep going here. What's the last one here? Last one was Arca. Cody Anke says, any thoughts on Nasir Adderley's fit in this defense? Derwin James injury concerns. Thoughts on their progress this year? I love your channel, Bolt fan from Pennsylvania. Nice, man. Okay, so as far as Adderley, a lot of people still have hope for him, right? I really do think that Adderley could bounce back with Brandon Staley. I'm never going to rule that out. Brandon Staley's the whisperer of defensive players. He really is. If it were me, I still sign a depth guy, right? I still go out there and I sign a guy to help out Nasir Adderley. If you're feeling like not too great about Adderley, then maybe go spend up for like a Harris or something like that. But I do think Adderley still has a shot at being our guy. As far as Derwin James' injury concerned, there's a couple of things, guys, that actually Derwin James is such an important piece of this offense that for him to, or defense, for him to go down is always extremely devastating, right? We don't know what the chances are of him staying healthy next season. His track record isn't great, but you have to roll the dice because he's that kind of player. What you can do, however, is get some Derwin James insurance, and there's a lot of players you could do that with. One of my favorites is a draft prospect out of Florida, at FSU, I should say, and Hamsir Nasirladeen. Sorry, hard name to say. Hamsir Nasirladeen, I think is how you say it. Hamsir Nasirladeen, that's how you say it. He's kind of like a Derwin James 2.0, right? A budget Derwin James. What I like about that is it allows you to kind of play with who's playing deep and who's playing in the box, right? And if something were to happen to Derwin, then we've got a guy that's very similar to him still on the roster. Another guy that the Chargers could consider at a free agency is Keanu Neal. Now, Keanu Neal is more of a strong safety, a box safety, but he did play a lot of free safety for the Falcons as well. So picking up him would also give us some Derwin James insurance, allow us to continue to running whatever scheme we come up with revolved around Derwin James. But I would see it as being a very intelligent move because this defensive scheme will be heavily revolved around Derwin James as it was last season. So if we're bringing a guy as Derwin James insurance, as well as a guy that you can mix in the box and out deep, maybe even play at free safety, I think Keanu Neal is a pretty good move, man. As far as free agency, it's Keanu Neal, and the draft is going to be Hamsir Nasirladeen. That's kind of where I'm looking at. I hope they pick up one of the two. Thank you there, Cody. Alvaro Osorio says, Riley Reed for the Bolts. I mean, Reef. I want Earl Thomas on the Chargers, just my opinion, though. Earl Thomas, again, if he were to come to the Chargers, I want a full psych evaluation. Like, get this man fully, figured out. But he's so, he's like the ceiling of Nasir Adderley. It would be a good move to help develop Adderley. It really would be, and a great stopgap. But if I'm hearing that the Chargers aren't going after Clowney because of locker room issues, the chances of Earl Thomas are probably lower. But I wouldn't hate it, man. Again, analytically, it makes a lot of sense. Thank you there, Alvaro. Kelsey Hammer says, bro, ESPN rated Lindsley as a B- and Jared Cook as a D+. What they really rated Lindsley as a B-. Okay, first off, after they said that, I would not pay attention to it, man. Lindsley for a team like the Chargers, any other team. Let's say that the Chiefs went out and signed Corey Linsley. Do you think ESPN would have been like, oh, B-? No. Who did they get? Joe Tooney? I bet they gave Tooney an A+, right? Because they're the freaking Chiefs. It's biased, man. That almost ticks me off a little bit, ESPN. What are you thinking? Corey Linsley, the best center in football, is now on a team who had the worst center in football, and you're going to give him a B-? Take that somewhere else, man. ESPN. What are you thinking? What are you thinking? Yeah, I'm sorry. I got a little emotional. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. But thank you, Kelsey, for bringing that to my attention. We'll rally. ADPT Jr. says, do you think we can get Tommy Tremble in the third? Yes. So the Chargers, again, tight end could be a longer-term fix, right? We could go into the draft and get a Tommy Tremble. He'd be pretty good. Pat Freiermuth, again, kind of looks like Gronk a little bit. Could be pretty good. There's a couple of guys in this draft that the Chargers could now target without feeling like, oh, we double-dipped too hard at tight end. Nah, you got Jared Cook for 1 year. 1 year commitment. If you find a guy that you really like in Tommy Tremble, take him. If Kyle Pitts is there at 13, you take him. You feel good about it, and you move in to the future with these guys while Jared Cook helps in the short-term situation. Thank you there, ADP. Anthony Trant coming back says, Director, another $5 holla. I was pretty upset about not getting Reddick, but maybe trade back into the first and get a Zaven Collins. Yeah, Zaven Collins is super underrated. Who else do I like out there? There's a lot of good edge defenders in the first round. If the Chargers end up trading back in, I would expect, so let's say they go offensive line in the first, with the number 13 pick. If they trade back in, I can see guys like edge threat, maybe even a Zaven Collins, being a target for them coming back into the first. In the second round, there's still a lot of good talent too. But I'm getting a little worried about pass rush a little bit. I like where your head's at there, man. Thank you, Anthony. Edward Gonzalez says, I think the Chargers, oops, I got to scroll back up. Edward, here we go. Edward Gonzalez says, I think the Chargers are having a pretty stealthy free agency, quiet high IQ transfers, maybe one more big piece, but I think Staley has a plan. This Jared Cook signing, to me, kind of helped me settle down a little bit, right? The last couple of days were all like, the Chargers are missing out on all these players. And although I still think that the Chargers missed out on some great talent, especially Hassan Reddick. Hassan Reddick? Someone said I was saying it wrong. I'm going to say Hassan Reddick. When we missed out on him is where I felt the most upset too. I was like, man, Reddick was such a great fit. He's young. He had a breakout season. And then he signed a prove-it deal. Oh, that would have been fantastic. But when we got Jared Cook, I was like, okay, well, obviously there's something in the works here. Maybe we did miss out on Reddick. Maybe we were going after him and just didn't work out. I still think that contract was ridiculously cheap. But I do hope that the Chargers understand that by bringing in a fill gap guy as far as tight end, I hope they use that as a tactic to go get a bigger name at a bigger position of need. Offensive line, cornerback, edge. That's kind of where I'm at right now. But tight end, I don't feel bad about. I really don't, guys. I honestly have a lot of confidence in Jared Cook. I don't know why. Maybe it's a gut instinct thing. Like, at first, when I first saw it, I expected to panic a little bit more. And then, I just remember watching Jared Cook play and thinking, I think this is fine. Like, we got a great quarterback. You know what I mean? We didn't spend a lot of money. Jared Cook probably means Adoree Jackson. Woo! You know, I don't know. I felt like I should have freaked out more than I did, and I didn't. I was actually like, okay, cool. I'm about it. I'm good with that. I'm good with that. Maybe it blows up in my face. Maybe it doesn't, but I feel good about Jared Cook. Thank you there, Edward. Richie Loy with a $5 holla. Thank you so much, sir. You guys rock, man. Chris Joseph says, let's be honest. All we have done is sign 2 aging offensive linemen, overpay Mike Will. We still need a safety cornerback, goal line back, with not much more cap space. C- so far. Nah, man. Thank you for the $5 holla. I really appreciate it. But Linsley is probably one of the best moves I've seen from Tom Telesco in a while. Just, it's so important. It is so important to protect your rookie franchise quarterback. It really is. The potential of Justin Herbert must be protected. And again, the Chargers went from the worst, maybe analytical center in the league last season in Dan Feeney to the best. So I would say, even though we paid a little bit more than we thought, and really not by much, we thought his contract would be between 10 and 11 million. We ended up paying 12.5. So it really wasn't that much of an overpay. And then Matt Filer too, dude. Very underrated. Every Steelers fan that I've talked to has said, oh my God, we're so depressed. We wanted to keep him. And we not only got him, but we got him on a really cheap contract. Those 2 moves in the offensive line great, right? I'm very confident in that. Tight end Jared Cook, good. I mean, I'm cool with it. I really am. It isn't like the biggest, flashiest move, but it's okay. We did pay Mike Will, but again, there is a chance that we still extend him, you know, before the season starts. It's not like the 15 mil is like fully like, okay, that's what we can still extend him and bring that number down for next season or maybe another like signing. This happened with Joey Bosa. We had Joey Bosa on it, right? And then we ended up extending him later. I think the same thing is possible for Mike Will. We do need a safety, cornerback, goal line back. But again, goal line back should be very cheap, in my opinion. Cornerback, I fully expect us to get in the draft. Safety, there's a lot of good safeties out there I think we can still target. So I'm cool with it, man. I get it. Not everyone's going to agree, but I like what I'm seeing so far. I don't love what I'm seeing. I love what I'm seeing as far as the offensive line, but missing out on players almost makes me like it and not love it, if that makes sense. But hey, thank you for chiming in, man. Like, everybody's opinion, you're totally entitled. I like to hear them. Bring them into the show. It shows diversity in the fans, and I do think we need to see both sides of this. Just because, again, I love something doesn't mean it's the right thing. I'm just a fan. You know what I mean? Having a more real, that's why I love Steve. You guys know him from Guilty as Charged podcast. The guy's kind of a hard ass. He really is, but he says it how he really doesn't hold back when he says how he feels about something. If something's dumb to him, he's just gonna post it. And for the most part, I try to do the same thing, but I in nature am a more gentle deliverer of that kind of opinion. But that's why I like stuff like that, because it really does help even us out a little bit. In the case of Jared Cook, I would say I think I'm kind of on the opposite spectrum of that. I think a lot of people are freaking out in a negative way, and I'm hoping to bring people maybe closer towards, you know, middle ground with that, because I do see it as a really good signing, and maybe I can see some of your guys' perspective. You guys can see some of mine, and we can meet at a nice middle ground. But there we have it, Chris Joseph. Thank you for chiming in there. Next up, we've got Joshy Plays joining the cast. Thank you so much. I forgot to update the cast sheet. I'll get that done tonight, guys. Thank you so much for coming in and supporting the channel. Brett Cook says, Alan Williams, Cook, Austin looks like what the Saints ran. Don't you agree? Yeah, dude, totally. It really does. It really does. Again, the offensive scheme is going to change. The guy coming in and running the show now in Joe Lombardi, he's going to bring a lot of what the Saints brought in. It makes even more sense now, does it not? If he wants to implement what the Saints are running, he brings in an ex-Saint in Jared Cook to play the tight end position. The Saints have been a powerhouse, balanced offense for a long time, man. I like moving in that direction. Less of Anthony Lynn's run heavy, more of, I would say, Sean Payton's balanced offensive scheme in New Orleans. I think that's a recipe to success, in my opinion. Reem Tomlinson, welcome to the crew again. Thank you so much for joining the crew. That's awesome. JCAM, let's scroll back up here. I got to catch up, guys. I'm sorry. There's a lot coming in today. You guys have been amazing. You think someone, Media Flash, you say Juju is a priority for the Bolts due to the lack of fans in LA. Not that I agree, but I wonder if the pressure is there. That's a good question. And I think the answer to that question lies in last season, right? If the Chargers were more about media than they are about team building, I think we would have gotten Tom Brady. And again, I people have been asking me this all offseason. Director, if we signed Tom Brady, we would have won the Super Bowl. No, way different circumstance for the Chargers. The Bucs were in a great move to like really load up on a lot of people. They had a lot of young talent in very specific positions to help Tom Brady, especially on that defense. Chargers weren't in the same situation. But again, if the Chargers were more about let's grab some media attention, let's fill those seats, I think we would have grabbed Tom Brady last season. That's just my opinion. But thank you, JCAM. I appreciate the support there, my guy. That guy, Felix, says, hey, how would you feel about Philip Lindsay? Man, if we already didn't have a scat back, like one of the best scat backs in the league on our roster, I'd be all about Philip Lindsay. I like Philip Lindsay, right? I'm shocked that Philip Lindsay got cut. They rescinded his fifth-year option, right? You don't see that often. That's pretty crazy. But what I see in Philip Lindsay, I see a lot of that in Austin Eckler. Having two of those on the field, I guess, would be kind of crazy. But I would think that a better complementary fit for the Chargers and Austin Eckler would be a power back. Get somebody big, beefy that can hit those gaps pretty hard. And I think that would really complement what Austin Eckler does well. But I like Philip Lindsay a lot. If he came to the Chargers, I would still be excited. But I do think a power back is a better complement at this point for the Bolts. Okay, keep it moving, keep it moving. Got one coming in from Joshy Plays. Do you think Chicken Parm is going to step up? Yes. Jared Cook coming to the Chargers, right? This could be a move again to kind of help us buy some time to find a different answer at tight end in the future while also having a pretty decent tight end this season. But Donald Parham, man, he's got potential, right? We saw a guy very similar to him in Darren Waller not too long ago, breakout with Frank Smith, who's on our roster right now of coaches, right? Maybe this is also a move. I would say almost certainly is also a move to help develop Donald Parham, get him more involved. Because you can put Jared Cook out there all the time, but again, he's older. Maybe his stamina isn't as as good as Donald Parham's. I think we're going to see more reps from Donald Parham this season too. More opportunities for Donald Parham. And I think that's part of the equation here. Maybe the Chargers don't see Donald Parham as a number one, but maybe a long-term number two. Maybe the potential of a number one. I think this gives him more opportunity. It gives him better development opportunity as well. So I like that a lot. Thank you, Joshy. Appreciate it. White Boy Monkey says, nobody is talking about the moves that the Chargers are making under the radar. I can't wait for next year. We're going to be a strong dark horse. Next year, yes, I like the under the radar moves. I really, really do. But next year, guys, this year is going to be good, right? We had a lot of cap space to work with and stuff. But next year, it's going to blow your mind how much money we have next season. We have 2 guys to re-sign, Nwosu and Derwin James. After that, we're talking upwards of like 80 mil, maybe more. We're going to be, I think Dark Horse is kind of cool for next season, but I think we're going to be a very, very big contender next season, especially with how much money we have to spend. All right, guys. Thank you so much there. Wabo Monkey. Adrian Chavez coming back saying, would you be open to trading for Njoku? I honestly don't think Pitts will fall to 13th. Schwartz or Tutu Atwell. Yes, Njoku. I've done a video on him. I'd be super high on him. At this point, I don't know if anyone's going to trade for him. I hope that the Chargers are still in contention for that. If he doesn't get traded, Njoku's going to be a free agent next season. And that's when the Chargers can maybe say, hey, you know what? Jared Cook was good for 2021. Let's go grab Njoku for 2022. As far as Pitts, again, I give it like a 25% chance, and that's pretty high considering how good he is, but I think it's that high because of how many quarterbacks there are, right? So there's still a chance. Anything can happen. It could be the Derwin James effect all over again. But if he's there, I take him. Bottom line. Like, it's so insane to me how good he looks. Yeah, the only offensive lineman I would take over him is Sewell, who's not going to be there either, which is so insane. He would be crazy. And as far as Schwartz or Tutu Atwell, Schwartz, man, we watched his 40 here just a minute ago. I ran a 4.26. Great middle round target. I think, honestly, he's going to climb a little bit. He's going to climb boards because of that 40 time. I would say a great 4th round target for the Chargers. And he could be a very great situational piece, the best speed we have on this team. He would be nuts. Seth the Chef says, it's not biased against the Chargers. The guy who writes for ESPN is just an idiot. He graded Joe Thuney a B as well. Oh, okay. So my argument of, Joe Thuney must have been an A+, it was probably void, but still, that's dumb. These are the best offensive linemen in the league, and ESPN is like taking a big old steamy dump on them. I don't like that at all. But Seth, thank you so much. I'm trying not to get heated again because I was pretty irked by that. Such a great signing. Probably one of the best signings I've seen with the Chargers in a long time, and it got crapped on. That's not cool. But thank you, Chess. Thank you so much. Cody says, off the wall idea. If we lose Ingram, would you see Murray possibly moving to defensive end? How do you think he would handle the position? Now, Murray wouldn't play defensive end. What he would play is a rushing outside linebacker. So I like the idea of that. That's actually what I thought was going to happen before Staley's interview a couple months ago. I thought that we were going to keep Murray on right outside linebacker, right? So he could blitz the quarterback a lot. I still think he plays that every once in a while, but I do think he came out and said that he's going to be a middle linebacker. So I could still see that. I do think we're going to lose Ingram, but that's kind of why I want another outside linebacker, a pass rush and edge guy to come in and fill that role. But I do see Murray as having an opportunity to play that every once in a while. Thank you there, Cody. Okay, what do we got here next? We've got one from Nightwave. Nightwave with the $50 holla. This one's to Nightwave, my guy. Nightwave, the official Coke sip of the day. Thank you so much there, Nightwave. He says, I'm just gonna drop this here. I really can't wait for this upcoming season for this team. I want to see these games. Keep up the good work, man, with your content. I'm always checking up on you, Nightwave. Appreciate the love. thank you so much for the support. I'm happy to be here. I'm honored to be here with all these diehard Chargers fans. Incredible support, man. Thank you so much for being here all the time, these live streams. A lot of live streams lately, right? I told myself, with free agency director, people are going to be wanting like answers immediately, so you got to be available live. Even if you don't do a lot of like traditional videos for like a week or so, just be there when stuff happens, just so we can all get together and talk about it. And so far, it's been incredible. You guys have been showing incredible support, and I think it's kind of cool to kind of get the reaction immediately as soon as we hear news. So it's been a lot of fun, guys. Thank you again, Nightwave. You rock, man. Appreciate the support here. Did we finally get through everybody? Danielle Ramirez, welcome to the crew again, guys. Thank you, everybody, so much for jumping in, joining the crew. I'm thinking about making some more emotes and stuff like that, adjusting things there, just kind of keep you guys entertained. It'll be a lot of fun. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Nightwave, everybody, appreciate all the support today. Let's grab some of these comments coming down here, man. Jared Cook is effective in the end zone just like Gate was. Good temporary fit. Yes, Kevin Magia. Absolutely agree. Nightwave making director rich. Making director blush, more like it. Appreciate it, man. How much do I need to pay for a shot? I don't know, man. Is it going to be like trademark now? You know, Coke's going to come after me. Like, director, you can't be making money off of shots of Coke. That's not good. That doesn't sound right either. Director, name me one player that the Chargers will sign in free agency. My most hopeful sign at this point, as far as the value and the cost, is probably Austin Blythe. That's really what I'm hoping for now. So I'm going to say that. I don't know if it's a guarantee, but I would really like that. Again, connections to the Chargers, great right guard. It'd be a great fit. Fabian upgraded. Fabian to the cast. Thank you so much there, Fabian. Appreciate you guys. Really, really love it. Product placement right here. Brought to you by Coke. No way affiliated with the director. Yeah, I get it. Director Schwartz ran a 4.26. Yeah, we're super shots of Coke. Hugo's not going to let me get away with that one. Thank you, guys. I heard the Raiders are interested in Richard Sherman. Yes, they are. They just signed, what's his name? From the Cardinals, their running back. Shoot, I can't even remember. He's a really fast guy, but honestly, they paid too much for him, right? $7.5 million, something like that. I don't know what the Raiders are doing, man. I'm so excited for the Chargers season. Just so we can go thump on Derek Carr, man. Derek Carr lost all of his protection, right? Actually, I'm going to go find a tweet I put out the other day. Because it's absolutely true. Here it is. Yeah, all right. You guys ready? Derek Carr this season. Yeah, and this is in response to them letting go of Gabe Jackson, right? Yeah, of them letting go of Gabe Jackson. Derek Carr is screwed. Derek Carr is gone. That offensive line was his last resort, man. I don't know. They've been making moves too, but they lost Hudson, they lost Gabe, they lost Trent Brown. Like, they've lost everybody. Derek Carr is in trouble. Oh my God. Yeah, Kenyon Drake. That's what I was going to say. Kenyon Drake to the Raiders. So they got rid of their whole offensive line. They brought in a elusive running back who's now going to have no lanes to run through. That's insane. Oy. Who's the best available edge at 13? Probably Kwity Paye. People like Rousseau too. There's some guys out there. But I don't know if the Chargers go edge. They could. They certainly could. I would see cornerback and offensive line still as priorities at 13, but they could surprise us. You never know. I think Eric Fisher would be a great signing. Yeah, Eric Fisher. I'd be down for Eric Fisher. I wouldn't mind Eric Fisher. You know, he would be an immediate answer to left tackle. So again, we could still take a Slater and put him at guard and feel really good, but I wouldn't hate Eric Fisher either if he's not too expensive. Right? If the Chargers make it work financially, cool, but don't overspend because he did have the injury. He's a little bit older, but hey, he's been pretty great with the Chiefs for a long time, and I think the Chiefs or the Chargers have a very similar quarterback to Patrick Mahomes. Sherd74 says, so what should we think as far as fans if the Chargers field a 22 to 27th ranked defense while B Staley calls the plays? Oh, okay. So you're asking if the Chargers fail to field a average defense, right? If we fail to field an average defense, what do we think of Staley? Well, first off, I think Staley's going to get at least a few years, like 3 or 4 years as the Chargers, 5 years even as the Chargers head coach before we start thinking, okay, we move on. Obviously, this is his first season because we got to give him time to build what he wants to build, right? He's coming in here fresh. He needs to bring in pieces that really fit his vision, and that might take a couple of seasons. So next season, I wouldn't be too worried, but honestly, the chances of that are pretty slim of us being that low. I do see the Chargers with the pieces that we have in Brandon Staley being at least a top 20, top 15 defense with the potential of a top 10. If that's me being real right there. TBM says, director advice on college film editing, worth it? On college film editing? I don't understand the question. Going to college for film editing? Yes. I would be a fan of that. Editing college film of athletes? Still cool? Yeah, go for it, man. I'm going to say yes. Chase your dreams. Director, Edge players are getting $15 million. Edge could work. Yeah. I still think Edge could work, definitely. Read this way. Sorry, guys. The chat moves, and then I lose where I was. Read this the way you think the Chargers should sign another quarterback. Or cornerback. Yes, cornerback. Yes, we definitely do need another quarterback. Again, I'm really high on Troy Hill, Adoree Jackson. I think those guys would be great fits. I really like that, man. Not going to lie, Njoku would have been better. Yes, he would have, but we would have a trade for him. He would have been a little more expensive, but I like the stopgap situation we're in right now. Francesco says, I don't think we will add another back. Eckler was banged up. Josh Kelly is going to in the second year. Let Kelly have his time to grow. I think Popper said that the other day too. He was like, I think you guys will be surprised by Joshua Kelly or something to those. Maybe he's got faith in Joshua Kelly, right? I do too. I think Joshua Kelly actually in the first, 3 or 4 games before he fumbled, looked pretty decent. I'm willing to roll out there and give him another shot. Give me 1 second, guys. Cody coming back says, how much draft capital would it cost to pursue Lattimore? Do you think it would be worth it? That would be sweet to see, though it's unlikely. Yeah, the Saints, I don't know how they did it, man, but they clawed their way, and they clawed and crawled their way out of $100 million over the cap, right? And I think they did that because they did want to re-sign guys like Lattimore, et cetera, et cetera. For us to straight up trade for him at this point, I'm thinking it would be probably like a couple of firsts, if not 3. So, I mean, it would be cool, but I think the chances of that definitely went down. But thank you, man. It was me, okay? It was me that started the Lattimore rumors, and it's because at the beginning of the offseason when they were $100 million over the cap, I was like, yes, let's take advantage of them while they're down. And now I'm like, okay, they made it work. I don't think Lattimore is going anywhere soon. Joe Alexander with the $5 holla says, love the Bolts, but D. Carr is a big name in my town. I'm neighbors with David. Really? So let's not rough him up too much. Oh, man, I don't know if Joey Bose is going to have much to say about that. I love Derek Carr. I would say solid player, maybe a little bit underrated, but he is a Raider. Therefore, let's let Joey Bosa loose. Let the dogs loose, tear him apart a little bit. But that's cool that you're neighbors with David, man. That's insane. GG's. Thanks for the support. $20 holla coming in from Adrian Chavez. Just keeps coming back. Says, all these live reactions are definitely on point, brother. Literally look forward to a breaking news live stream from the director every time something happens. Last one for me today, brother. Bolt up, Bolt Nation. Adrian, thank you so much for all the support, man. Really appreciate it. Really do appreciate it. And I do appreciate you guys coming here and being a part of this whenever something does happen, because I'm just like you. I'm a Chargers fan. Like, I look at my phone, I see, whoa, Derek Carr got signed to the Chargers. I look around for someone to talk to about it. Being able to come over here on the stream is awesome. I really do love it, man. Thank you so much. Garrett Siebert says, Adoree Jackson is the move. Grab Pitts or Slater in the first round. In round 2, grab Adebo. That man is a dog. Yeah, so I see Adebo as a great second or third round guy. I'm trending more towards the second if Asante Samuel isn't there. The Chargers obviously love Asante Samuel. They've met with him a few times already, right? But Adebo, I've been looking into him. You guys put him on my radar. He's a solid cornerback prospect, man. And of course, Adoree Jackson would be a great move for the Chargers too. Rico, thank you so much for joining the cast. All right, guys. So final couple of thoughts here on Jared Cook. We're just crossed the hour mark right here. Jared Cook, to me, underrated. I like the signing. Great value. You take a look at his stats versus Hunter Henry. 504 and 7. This was with him hauling in passes for a lot of the season from Jameis Winston and Hill. So this number could have probably been closer to 896 or 705 if it was Drew Brees. Let's keep that in mind. Still very effective in the red zone. And these are the stats compared to our Hunter Henry. Hunter Henry got about 100 more yards and 3 less touchdowns. The difference is Hunter Henry would have cost a lot more for the Chargers. A lot more for the Chargers. So financially speaking, this is a great move for the Bolts. Buys us some time to figure out what we're doing at tight end. He's got relationships with Frank Smith and Joe Lombardi. And I do think, honestly, I'm excited. I hate to say it because a lot of people don't agree with this one in particular. But me personally, I'm excited to see Jared Cook on this team. When we lost Hunter Henry, it was a huge blow. But Jared Cook, it's really hard for me to go, oh man, I wanted Njoku, and all, which I really did. There's other tight ends that I definitely wanted, but I'm excited to see Jared Cook. I can't lie about that. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I'm gonna say I'm excited for Jared Cook, and I'm just gonna be real with you on those fronts. A couple more questions here, guys. We're winding down. Couple more questions. I'm gonna start reading these before we wind down and get out of here. Francesco says, love Cook. Him and Parma be great tandem. This is a very Tom Telesco move. Low risk, high reward. Yes, sir, man. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Joe Alexander says, I'm from Bakersfield. Kia ora. Cool, man. Cool. What do you think of drafting Brevin Jordan in the second round if Pitts doesn't fall to 13? Brevin Jordan, he could be good too. I mean, there's a second round guy. I think Pat Freiermuth is still like my guy as far as second round. Pat Freiermuth could turn out to be a really, really, really good tight end, man. If it wasn't for Kyle Pitts, Freiermuth would probably have more attention than he's getting, right? Freiermuth has the ceiling of, I'm not gonna say the ceiling, but like the style of Rob Gronkowski. So I think that is going to be my second round move right there. Bruce Lowley says, Kyle Van Noy on the cheap. Thoughts? Thanks for the $2 Hollow Man, but Kyle Van Noy actually went back to the Patriots, I think just this morning. He was definitely a guy on our radar before. Pedro Ramirez says, which Chargers rivalry do you take the most seriously? For me, it's the Chargers versus Raiders. Raider hater till I die. Oh, man. Let's get one thing clear. I have no love for the Raiders, Chiefs, or Broncos, right? Me personally, in my walk of life, the fans that have given me, I've gotten in more physical fights with Raiders fans. I'm not gonna lie. One of them busted my bro's tooth one time. My actual brother, my blood brother, he broke his tooth one time, so I was pretty upset about that. But consistently, the fan base that gives me the most grief is the Broncos. I cannot stand the Broncos fans out here, man. There are so many of them. They're ruthless and honestly super, super annoying. Like, I don't know. What's the word? Passive aggressive. Oh, I would rather get in a fist fight. I would rather throw hands with a Raiders fan than put up with the passive aggression from a Broncos fan. Real talk for a second. Will Fuller to the Dolphins. Nice, man. Good for them. Will Fuller, that's going to be an expensive but good signing for them. Anthony Sean says, it's Pitts, Waddle, or Slater. Best player available. Pick one. Yep. I will ride till I die. Best player available. Interesting. Yeah, screw the Broncos. I hit him. For real, man. I recently won a signed Chargers football from Mike Williams. Nice, man. That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, dude, let me just take one last look here at the Twitterverse just to see if there's anything that we've missed. I think we pretty much got it all. We'll read this last $5 holla here and get out. Send this list to Lesko's email. Guys, be sure to go check out the my Twitter today. I put out a couple of cool things regarding Jared Cook and some analytics, a lot of good stuff on there today. The Mash Bill says, how do the Bolts try to get better corners if they lose linebackers? Letting Perriman leave is a huge mistake. I'm gonna miss Perriman tremendously, right? But in Brandon Staley's scheme, I don't know if linebacker is going to be used the same way, nor if it's as important. It's still going to be very important, but I do think that we've got guys in Kenneth Murray and Drew Tranquil, let's not forget that could play those positions very, very well. Uchenna Nwosu is going to see an elevated role with the Chargers this season, playing rushing, I would say left outside linebacker, right? So Perriman, it sucks. I loved him. Stay hydrated. But I think he watched his replacement get drafted last season in Kenneth Murray. If we get better corners, though, I'm very, very happy about that because, again, they should see a lot of help from this pass rush if we sign at least one more guy. I'm very, very confident about that. So really appreciate it, man. Cody Egg coming in with the last one right here. It says, if you were to meet 5 NFL players from any era, who would you pick? I take LT, Lewis, Sayao, OBJ, and Vic. Wow. For number one, it would be Sayao. Number one for me. I never got a chance to meet him. I really idolized him. I loved him as a kid even. And I didn't even watch football that much when I was that young. And then LT. So Sayao and LT. I would have loved to meet Vincent Jackson too. He seemed like a pretty chill guy. Lance Allworth, I just kind of getting to see what the perspective of was from back then. Who else would I want to meet as far as the Chargers? Darren Sproles, I think would be pretty fun too. Those are kind of my guys. I don't know. Phillip Rivers too. I never got to meet Phillip. You know, Phillip Rivers is probably up there for me too. Phillip Rivers sounds like a hoot. There's so many of them. Don't ask me those. Desmond King. Desmond King Instagram. Hang on. Do we have one last okay. Instagram Desmond King. What's happening? King isn't coming back. Okay. I'm looking, guys. Hang on. Is it him here, Black Badger? What does he say? Recap the guys. Oh, okay. So he's hanging out with his old crew here, man. Yeah. He's just hanging out here with his old crew. That's cool. Right? Is that what you guys are talking about? Okay, so that was the last one he put in there. Okay, that's cool, man. But we get to see their own knives, man. How long till the next signing? I don't know, man. I'd give it maybe a couple days. Honestly, the way Tom Telesco operates, it could be a couple of days. Well, guys, that is going to be working out with DJ on his story. Oh, his story. Sorry, guys. Take a look at his story here real quick. Okay. There we go. I think that's really cool, man. Honestly, you guys are probably trying to get out of me, do I want Desmond King to come back to the Chargers? Yes. I would love to have Desmond King back. I thought it was ridiculous that we traded him, especially for just a 6th-round pick. That was so dumb. I hated that. If we were to come back to the Chargers, I'm very, very excited. But players that know each other, they work out together a lot in the offseason. Sometimes it means something, a lot of times it doesn't. The chances of him coming back to the Chargers are probably pretty slim. But if we did, I'd be so excited. I'd be very happy about that. It just kind of depends on where his relationship is with the new coaching staff, right? I think he had a lot of beef with the old coaching staff. Maybe the new coaching staff lets him come back in. I don't know. I like him, though, man. I like him a lot. All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for me today. Thank you guys so much for joining me. If something else big does happen, I'll try to get on as soon as possible, but I wouldn't expect the Chargers to make any more moves today, probably tomorrow, the day after. It could take some time, though, guys. Just let these decisions marinate. Jared Cook is a great example, taking a step back and really looking at the situation before hounding on it. Now, if you really look into it and you still don't like it, you're like, okay, he doesn't bring anything. Maybe the age is too much. If you find a lot of evidence to suggest, okay, this was a really bad signing, then yeah, it's okay. You have your opinion. You can condemn it if you must. But for me, this stands as a great example of okay, let's take a step back, really look at Jared Cook. Maybe there's some really good things that he could offer us this season. And honestly, it does give us a lot of information as to what the Chargers are likely up to now. So I think it's pretty good, man. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me. This has been The Director. We'll see you next time. And as always, bolt up and stay frosty. And keep in mind, guys, I'm updating the credits here tonight. So if you joined recently, we'll get you guys here in the next video tomorrow, guys. Thank you so much. Peace out.
Stay frosty and head over to EasyMut.com for the cheapest MUT coins on the market. And when I say cheapest, I mean it. We're talking 1 million coins for around $40. Use code DIRECTOR for 5% off. Action!